World of Warcraft director Ion Hazzikostas talks the game's future and current soul-searching. World of Warcraft's in the middle of extraordinary times. The MMO will be turning 17 years old this month, and while Blizzard prepares for the launch of a new patch, it is also looking to fix its own culture under the backdrop of a state investigation into sexual harassment issues. We've covered this at length. Last week, I had a chance to talk with World of Warcraft director Ion Hazzikostas and asked him what's happening inside Blizzard and the World of Warcraft team since the investigation became public. We also talked about the changes the World of Warcraft is seeing in the upcoming 9.15 patch and beyond. It's a long and frank discussion, and you can read the edited transcript of the exchange below. I would actually... Is it only available in transcript? I would like to see the full discussion, but I guess not. As we said in, I think, a brief blog forum post, this has been a process that has been ongoing as a result of an internal period of self-reflection over the last few months. These are changes that are coming from the team as a whole, and the discussions we began internally in the aftermath of the lawsuit and everything surrounding that on many levels, trying to understand how we, as the current leadership of the team, could do better. Better for our team, better for our community. One thing that came up is that there are pieces of our game that over the course of 17 plus years now, that they're not necessarily the products of a diverse or inclusive range of voices. That did not necessarily reflect the perspective of the current team and of many of our players. There are things that people in our team were not proud to have in our game. These are many things that people over the years have pointed out in the community, but we didn't necessarily listen in the way we should have at the time. Really? Really? What were these really pointed out? Were these really pointed out by the community? Is this an actual fact? Are you sure about that, Ian? This is almost the equivalent of like somebody going back on Twitter and deleting dumb tweets that they have done in the past, which, look, it's there, it's whatever. Not to mention, I don't necessarily agree with most of the stuff that they've removed to begin with, but I disagree. Anyway, what we did was we just set up a process internally for folks across the team, as well as sourcing some feedback from the community as a whole, to flag pieces of the game for review, whether it's old quests or specific lines. Like, dude, fuck! I swear, dude, it's so incredibly frustrating that this is what you put your resources into. Like, legitimately, this is what you put your resources into. Yeah, we think we need to go ahead and fix this this content from like 10 years ago. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Yep. Sure. Fine. Whether it's old quests or specific lines is a random example. There were a number of jokes and references made a dozen years ago about how feminine male blood elves were mistaking male blood elves for women. Just poking fun at that in a non-necessarily good-spirited way. That doesn't sit right in 2021. It's like the thing that frustrates me the most is that this is a consequence of people not learning how to properly socialize. I don't think there was... Whatever. I just want to move past this. Okay, let's move past this point. I'm not even going to comment on this point anymore because this is just like we've talked about this World of Fruit Bowls and all that. That sort of thing that was reviewed by a broad group that reflects the diversity of our team. A broad group! This is the type of stuff that I'm concerned about. Rather than fixing the game we're playing today, okay, actually, I'm not even playing, but rather than fixing the game that people are playing today, you have a broad group of people, which to me that means a significant portion of the World of Warcraft team, reviewing quests from fucking 17 years ago or 15 years ago, old ass content. We made decisions on whether to leave some things standing because they're borderline, but we're not looking to reinvent everything, turn over every single stone and rewrite 17 years of WoW. Definitely fucking looks like it. Might be a little bit juvenile, might be off color, but this isn't something that is really making our game feel less welcoming for people, which is what we're aiming to change. Those things we left, others were removed, others were rewritten or changed accordingly. Because of the nature of the feedback loop in the community and the way we publish new builds during the public test realm cycle and fan sites data mining them, every one of these changes ends up getting a huge spotlight shown on it alongside class balance changes or new systems we're adding. This is a massive patch, but this is not something that took the entire team offline. Definitely fucking looks like it! In the grand scheme of things, these are small changes. Many of them would probably go unnoticed if not for that spotlight being shown on them. Yeah, I don't think anybody would have even noticed it, to be honest. Most people definitely wouldn't. But there are things that were important to the team, and we've heard from many in our community that they're important to them. What is many? What is many? Was it 10 people? 100 people? 10,000 people? You know, among the millions of people that were playing this game? This is me pressing X to doubt. This isn't necessarily something we expect to do in every patch going forward, to have a bunch of changes along these lines in it, but we want to be more sensitive about the content we make is being received by our team, by the global player base that calls Azeroth World of Warcraft home. Yeah, sure, sanitize the fuck out of it. Sanitize the fuck out of it. No jokes allowed, no fun allowed, no fucking nothing allowed, okay? Nothing. Ah, man. Anyway, what's the community reaction to these changes been like? Mixed, right? No, I don't think it's been that mixed. Some of it's confusion. Changes started to be seen before we explained why we were doing what we were doing. There's a range of folks. You have folks who see this as political or unwelcome. Yes, just focus on making a fun game. I don't care about this stuff. On the other end, there are those who have expressed concern that we're almost doing this as a smokescreen. You definitely are doing this as a smokescreen. Rather than actually tackling hard issues, we're just changing some words in the game. This isn't an or, it's an and. You understand that. We're not fixing systemic injustice by changing an emote in World of Warcraft, but why not do that while we're also working on a larger cultural unit? Let me tell you exactly why you shouldn't do that. Because your game is fundamentally broken and you should be working on fixing it. This is not fixing your game. This is not improving player experience, not even by a 0.01%. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Quite the opposite. A lot of players find less enjoyment with a lot of the changes that you've done. I would argue most of the players find less enjoyment with the changes that you've done. Therefore, it makes no fucking sense. Some of the jokes that were in the game are a consequence of when the game was developed. Maybe they don't sit well in 2021, but they were fucking jokes. Get over it. I'm sorry, dude. Fuck, dude. Ugh. Anyway, as we're improving our processes, evaluating managers, sharing feedback with the team, as we're improving our recruiting and hiring to build a more diverse team, let's also turn some of that iron in our game. That's one thing that may be more visible in the short term, but in the long term, okay, so expect more of this, basically. Expect more of this. But in the long term, we understand that we're going to be judged, what we're going to be judged for as a team, as a company, and as a game. As far beyond that, that work is still underway. You mentioned how some people say, why do this instead of that? One thing they mentioned is tackling in-game toxicity. Can you talk about what Blizzard is doing to combat this inside the game? For many people, they're unpleasant. Their painful WoW experiences aren't the result of a line an NPC said, but something that was said to them in party chat or jokes. They saw in general chat or otherwise. We've been working to improve our handling of this on all fronts. We've been consulting with the Overwatch team and our brothers shared tech group to use machine learning to better catch a lot of these things in real time as opposed to relying on a very manual reporting driven process. That's what World of Warcraft built around 17 years ago, and that sort of process maybe works well with someone who's spamming sales or whatever in Orgrimmar, but it doesn't work so well when it's a one-off hateful comment that's just written to someone or something said in a party chat in a dungeon. We have a lot to do here, but it's number one focus for customer support, our tech groups, and everyone involved in the social side of WoW gameplay. We want WoW and Azeroth to be a positive place, an escape from the trials and tribulations of the world. We need to do a lot more to insulate players' experience from others who are coming in there to actively cause harm. We want to identify those people, hopefully reform them, but if not, remove them from the community and the game will be better off for it. Hey, dude, removing people that are harassing other people, that's fine. You mentioned making a team more diverse. Can you talk more about that effort? This is something that has been a goal of ours these years. We have a number of women leaders, people of colors across the team. These are areas where we continue to look for a team that represents the players we want to play our game. Part of why diversity is so important is that I and we as a team firmly believe that it makes a better game, makes a better product. We're trying to make a game that's not for a niche audience. We're making a game that's played by millions of people around the world of all genders, ethnicities, sexual orientations, backgrounds in general to better understand and have a connection with our range of perspectives. We want a team with the same range of perspectives. Recognizing that the game industry has certain skews, male-dominated is an obvious one, especially in design. We need to work harder to build and find the qualified candidates who are out there. We can't just open up a position, take the first couple dozen resumes, look through them, and pick someone out of that pile. Because we may just get a couple dozen white male resumes, and it's not that we wouldn't hire someone who's qualified for the job. We will, but we'll be limiting the range of perspectives that come to our team. Again, this is not about any preferential decisions in the hiring process itself. It's about working harder to understand where our job descriptions, the way we're sourcing candidates, the way referrals work, and the rest are filtering out qualified candidates of other backgrounds before they even make it to us. And then we're interviewing people. We're going to pick the best person for the job at the time, but doing that extra work up front, we have found continue and find leads to a more diverse team that is more reflective of the country that we're in and the player base that plays our game globally. It's like I said, the biggest problem is that it was, according to the lawsuit, there was a clear bias in the people that were doing the hiring, and they were clearly biased towards hiring white men. And the problem is in the people that were handling that particular portion of Blizzard, because to me, it's always about the most competent person. I believe that there are competent people in the realms of minorities and some such, probably people that are extremely competent through the struggles that they go through in their daily lives. And the fact that those resumes weren't even getting to the table, yes, that is most definitely a problem. That is a problem that needs to be fixed. But at the end of the day, I still believe that the person that is going to be hired should be the most qualified person for the job. Whether that person is Black, Latino, Asian, whatever. The person most qualified should be the one getting hired. The important thing that they need to figure out is how to get all the resumes in there. That's what they need to figure out. And unfortunately, we've discussed at length how they're not good. They weren't good at doing that. What kind of changes have you noticed inside Blizz in the past few months? There are conversations happening at all levels. I can speak to what we're doing on the WoW team. There are changes that have to happen at Blizzard level or an Activision Blizzard King level, depending on the structures that we're talking about. A lot of what I just talked about is one of the things we can act on most directly in terms of our hiring, our reviewing, all the job descriptions we post, having a range of folks to look at them, identifying language that may not be as inclusive as we like or may subtly, almost subliminally be deterring candidates that we otherwise want to hear from. Opening up, as I mentioned, in terms of content review, more feedback channels for more people. More feedback channels for more people so that you can ignore them. To feel comfortable and safe and actually encouraged to voice concern about things that are going into the game that they may not feel comfortable with so they can be properly reviewed, reviewing best practices in our leadership group for running meetings. Lost in the shadow of specific incidents of harassment or criminal activity are countless little microaggressions and transgressions, and people talking over others in meetings, or people taking credits for others' ideas or dismissing their accomplishments. A lot of what we heard in listening sessions and focus groups talking to the team as a whole, and all the members of the team, especially the women in the team, in light of the allegations and events of recent months, has led us to an increased focus on that sensitivity and trying to build a culture where everyone is aligned in the sort of workplace that we want. We're working together to build it. It's okay and encouraged and fine to call someone out if they interrupted a colleague or if they just talked over someone, talked past someone. The person receiving that feedback, hopefully, and I've seen this happen on a number of occasions, just says, "Thank you. That wasn't my intent. I didn't realize I was doing that." It's assuming good intent, but working to educate, working to align around a positive culture. I have to say I've been inspired. I'm sure you have. It's been a challenge for a few months. It's like, dude, how can you say that? Dude, like seriously, how can you say that? It's like throughout everything that's going on, Ion Hazzikostas comes out here and is like, I feel inspired. Do you? Do you really feel inspired by all the bullshit that is happening? I mean, I hope that everything that you are saying here is true, but I'm not sure everything that is happening is particularly inspiring, personally. Our team as a whole, the energy and the passion they have brought to the table here and the great work we've done in WoW itself, plus the work that we've done to build the team. The great work that we've done in WoW itself. Sure. What is morale like for the WoW team right now? Sometimes you guys take a bit of a beating anyways. Sometimes meaning always. But that's been amplified lately. What is the feeling like inside the studio? Ups and downs. I think it's been clearly a tough stretch. A lot of self-reflection, a lot of earnest conversations, disappointment, anger, all of that. But at the end of the day, with the team, as we work on these issues, we're also here to make a great game. That's what's brought everybody to Blizzard. That's what brought everybody to the WoW team. While we work to improve, and a lot of these conversations happen, we also know that we have millions of players who are waiting for the next update to WoW. Want to hear about what's coming next. A lot of the efforts that led us to what went into 9.1.5 were actually really exciting, invigorating moments for the team. You mean actually listening to what the player base has been telling you since beta? Like, this is the problem. This is the problem that I have, is that right now the team is like, oh yeah, we hear you. We're implementing literally all of the things that you asked for. But once they get just like a smidge of success, all of that goes away. All of the listening to the player base, all of that instantly goes away. Instantly it's going to be, no, see, we did everything right. See, we know best. That is the problem. There never is an established channel of communication. Where is the communication? On a Venture Beat interview? On top of our standard planned set of features for 9.1.5 like Legion Time, walking, or other updates, let's take some time and almost have a little hackathon. Do whatever you want to do that you think will make the game more fun. Pitch your ideas. Let's go in and find areas that have been long-time pain points for the community, whether it's old raids being frustrating to farm solo, whatever else. Let's solve them. The team as a whole just fanned out, came back with ideas and pitches. That's what a lot of 9.1.5 was born out of. So the whole team fanned out, went to the World of Warcraft forums where people were reporting all of these problems during fucking alpha, and they basically brought the community suggestions to bear, and that's what you're seeing now. That creative energy, that expression, we're here to make a game for our community that's going to bring joy, bring happiness to people around the world. As we reflect on the tough times and work to move past them, we're also driven by and motivated by that underlying purpose. If we do our jobs well, we're a positive force in the world, we're bringing fun to people, we're bringing happiness. That's what we want to do. The future of World of Warcraft. There are a lot of quality of life improvements coming to 9.1.5, and a lot of people are excited about those things, but a lot of people have expressed some frustration that they didn't happen sooner. Thank you. Do you think there's something in the feedback loop that Blizzard can improve? How about listening to the feedback loop? That'd be an improvement. Absolutely. We can always do better at listening to feedback. We can also do better at communicating that we that we've heard feedback but aren't necessarily acting on it for whatever reason or taking it under advisement and keeping an eye on it. Now, this one you're doing pretty well. The taking under advisement and keeping an eye on it, this one you do perfectly fine. This is what you always do. Except you don't actually do the second part. You're just like, we'll take that under advisement and promptly fucking ignore it. This is feedback that, as the community pointed out, we've heard on many fronts going back to beta. In some areas, we were wrong. The community said, hey, we think that conduit energy is going to be this frustrating system, that it's not going to have the effects that you hope it has. Our intent was similar to classic WoW respect costs, that it would be a friction that made you take those choices more seriously, but not ultimately lock you in permanently. In practice, it ended up being just something that players chafed against. We heard that from them and should have changed our minds there sooner. In other areas, it's about watching the mainstream of the WoW player base, the broad range of the player base evolve, watching how they're playing the game. What we hear from more than just folks who are content creators are high-end raiders or PvPers, who we know have a specific playstyle, but one of the challenges in designing WoW is that there's a dozen different playstyles. Many of them are not as vocally or prominently represented. So what we hear from people who are trying to do high-end raiding and also push with keystones, having to choose one covenant and not being able to use the two freely for these systems was frustrating. We understood that. It wasn't surprising to us. We knew that if this was your orientation to the game, if you're a min-max player, you're going to want to always be optimal. But as we articulated, the goal of the design team was that the core RPG choice, the feeling of a weighty decision of picking this path versus that path and having a different story or experiences versus what your friends experienced, was going to provide a better experience for a majority of players. Literally nobody played the game like that! Literally nobody! Fuck! Dude, nobody played the game like that! Everybody just went to Wowhead, to the best covenant post, looked at their spec, saw which one was the best one, and picked that one. Nobody played the game like that. Not one single fucking person. Good God. And over time, that we continued to hear was, even those who initially appreciated that choice, that diversity of experience months into the game down the line, once they played through those stories, once they'd seen it, particularly on alts, they too just wanted ease of change. That led us to that place there. But a lot of what goes into 9.1.5 isn't a one-off. It's a reflection of changing a lot of the underlying philosophies that have motivated our approach to designing WoW. A lot of these things, like I mentioned regarding conduit energy, are outgrowths of lessons that were taught to us by our predecessors, by the founders and the leaders of the team, about the importance of meaningful choice, the importance of preserving character investment that may have led us to not being friendly to alt gameplay, and people's ability to get caught up on their alts. The reality is, the way people play the game has evolved. That was the right answer for the WoW player base, and for the game 15 years ago may not be today. Like, I'm sorry, I don't seem to remember back in Classic or Burning Crusade or even in Wrath of the Lich King of basically being forced to make these decisions that you are now saying, where it's like, oh, this decision's gonna lock me into this character. I'm gonna get all of this borrowed power. I'm gonna have to do all of this fucked up grind to get caught up. As a matter of fact, what I remember is back when I was playing in Wrath of the Lich King, I had one of each tank except druids. And the reason I didn't have druids is because I didn't want it to stare at a bear's ass while I was tanking the whole time. So I had one of each tank in the game, and I was able to keep up with gear for every single tank that I had. So please explain to me, how was it that back in the day you needed to make these meaningful choices? Bullshit! And I didn't even play half of the time that I put into Shadowlands. You still had to grind all the reps for the right leg enchantments and stuff? I would argue that the amount of grind you had to do in Shadowlands was significantly more than any of that. There's some stubbornness with clinging on to those old lessons. Some things are hard to let go when your training and your education as a designer and a developer on the team led to having those instilled in you. Dude, using old World of Warcraft game design as an excuse for the absolute state of Shadowlands is ridiculous. So 9.1.5 reflects a shift towards more alt accessibility, more catch-up, more sensitivity, and respect for players' time. Trying to look at what sorts of activities are going to be interesting once or twice, but maybe less interesting when you have to do them more than that. Let's not make you do them more than that, versus which activities are part of that core repeatable loop, like running dungeons or PvP at max level, things people want to get into without as many hurdles they have to clear on the way. That sort of approach is going to motivate how we approach our next patch in Shadowlands, which we'll talk about in the not too distant future, and expansions to follow. Talking about community requests and maybe stubbornness, is something like cross-faction raiding a bit more on the radar as a possibility these days? Give me a second, I need to drink some water, I need to hydrate. I'd say that's a bit more on the radar. Yes, that's one of those areas where a lot of things to solve, a lot of things to figure out and make it happen. But at the end of the day, if Jin and Thrall are working alongside each other in the raid, why can't Alliance and Horde players also work alongside each other in that raid, especially when we know it's going to solve a lot of the social problems people are grappling with, particularly trying to keep a high-end Alliance guild together in North America or a Horde one in Oceania. Because of your Horde bias. You talked about 9.2 a bit, but beyond that, should we expect 2.5 or a 0.3 for this expansion cycle, or will it be a 9.2 and then looking towards the next thing? We'll be talking a bit more about the conclusion to Shadowlands in more detail in the future. Yes, 9.2 is coming. You'll be hearing more about that soon. We do have more planned after that, but it's hard to say too much more without almost spoiling some of the story that's going to come. We're going to be reading about it in the book anyway. Might as well spoil it here. You're definitely not going to be spoiling it in-game. We'll have a lot of details on that soon, but we want to be able to explain it in the full context of what 9.2 is going to be. We've seen the story and setting for Warcraft get bigger and more cosmic. Some people like that, some people don't. But I guess I wonder, is it possible to go back? Or is the genie out of the bottle as far as the size and scope of what we're fighting? I don't think it is. No, that's definitely feedback we hear as well. There are some who like that escalation. We face the Titans. What comes next? Let's go through the whole cosmology. There are others who miss just being in an Elwyn forest, being an adventure on a more humble scale. Yes. At this point in the WoW, protagonists are heroes. You've done a lot of stuff. You'll probably never go back to being anonymous adventurers in the forest. But Azeroth is the heart of the WoW franchise, and it started with orcs and humans, and dwarves and night elves and the rest. We want to get back to that too. There's room to tell a big cosmic scale story, and there's also room for a more traditional core fantasy. That's not something we want to lose sight of. You already kind of did. Even going all the way back, this isn't necessarily something new. The first expansion for WoW was going to Outland. We had the Draenei coming in effectively spaceships and landing on Azeroth. There was a lot of cosmic stuff there, but we want to cover the whole gamut. It's something we think about when we're planning expansions as well. We maybe alternate between something that's more traditional and terrestrial, and then something that's higher concept. This patch is adding Legion time walking. We're getting Mage Towers back. Is the team thinking more about ways to bring back old content? It's something that we're working our way toward, slowly working our way toward. There's a tremendous amount of content that needs to be, in many cases, manually retouched and updated to work in this way. Things that we've done over the years, like adding scaling to the old content so that even now you can level from 10 to 50 in any of the expansions instead of having a fixed linear path where you have to level all them piecemeal. Things like time walking, these are vehicles and steps that move us closer to a world where we can make better use of all that we've built as it suits our story. We're not quite there yet, but we want to keep expanding those efforts, pulling more raids into our time walking system. A lot of discussions about what outdoor world time walking might look like, and whether there are periods where there will be exciting stuff that will make you want to return to Pandaria or Draenor. As we've seen, when a specific storyline does tie into an old area, we will send you back to High Mountain on Val Shira in Legion to play through a modern questline set in the old area. You mentioned earlier that the game's almost 17 years old. Is there a point where it's just too old with too many story threads, too many systems, and a reboot becomes too enticing to ignore? I don't think so. Okay, that means no WoW 2. Sorry, forget about that. We're always thinking about what is the future of WoW, not just a year or two from now, but 5 or 10 years. Within this world, there are plenty of stories we still have to tell, places to visit, and improvements to make. We want to learn lessons and keep building on these foundations. In a lot of ways, having that 17 years of content is a huge strength. It's an incomparable strength. But we also need to be mindful of managing the overall bloat in our systems. That's kind of what some of the efforts we did in Shadowlands. Like, what? What? Okay, I'm gonna need some more water for this one. What? That's kind of like squishing and streamlining leveling so a new player coming aboard can play through a modern starting experience, play through Battle for Azeroth, and jump right into Shadowlands, rather than being overwhelmed by 120 levels and a whirlwind tour of 15 years worth of content, much of which is old. Old doesn't necessarily mean bad. Old doesn't necessarily mean bad. That's what I have to say. And that is something that Final Fantasy XIV can definitely prove. But even as we curate and maintain what the experience is, we have this wealth to draw upon, and our intent is to keep evolving upon those foundations. We'll remove some parts that are old and crusty. We'll add a lot of exciting new ones, but there are millions of folks who are excited to play WoW, and we'll keep supporting it for as long as that's the case. Is that it? I guess that's it. Doesn't really address a lot of things, to be honest. I thought this was going to be much more interesting. I thought there was going to be a lot more interesting points. But the good thing is that this is not over. Now I'm curious to learn, what the hell is this?
I'm Morgan, and I'm a lead game designer for World of Warcraft.
Can you get a better microphone, Morgan? I'm sorry. I have to do it.
I'm Sarah, and I'm a senior level designer.
I'm Ian, game director for WoW.
I'm Tina, and I'm a lead environment artist.
I'm Pat, the production director for WoW.
And I'm Holly, the lead producer of WoW Classic.
We get a lot of feedback from players, and it's great. We watch and read as much feedback as we can.
We get a lot of feedback from players, and it's great. We promptly ignore every little bit of it. It's fantastic.
Players telling us how they feel about the game leads directly to improvements that we make.
You want to know the best part about this? You want to know why he's not looking at the camera? Because he's looking at the monitor. He's looking at his script. He's looking at his, look at him. He can't even look us in the eye.
How they feel about the game leads directly to improvements that
he's literally reading. If you look at his eyes are going left to right, reading the script.
we make.
It's a lot of feedback.
Which is awesome.
But we really want to zero in on the most nuanced player comments and have conversations with you about specific issues.
And it's challenging to have a conversation with tens of thousands of people.
You know, it's more challenging is trying to have a conversation with 6 fucking people at the same time. Why can't one of you deliver this message? And you need fucking 6 people with varying microphone qualities to tell us this thing. That's what I want to know.
So we're kicking off something new, and we're calling it the WoW Community Council.
Even Ian is reading. Not a single one of, come on, man.
We're going to invite at least 100 players to a new discussion forum.
All WoW players will be able to see this new forum and everything we discussed there.
For the members, we're looking for players who are passionate about any area of the game.
We're going to invite raiders, PvPers,
Solo players, mythic dungeon lovers.
Transmog collectors, WoW classic enthusiasts.
Hey, Q, you could probably get invited to this shit, dude. You need to go fix WoW. No, wait. You need to play 14. Fuck that shit. I don't want you to go fixing WoW.
Role players, achievement hunters, and more.
We want to talk with every kind of WoW player.
And if they choose to, we'd like selected participants to join us in regular live chats.
So please follow the link to apply for the WoW Community Council, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see how the community feels about this. Thank you. I mean, let's be honest, though. There's nothing that World of Warcraft can post in their channel right now that's not going to get disliked, bombed to hell. Mixed feelings on this. Just hope something good comes out of it. Only time will tell. By the way, hats off the Teen Enter team for the environmental art and sound effects. We noticed the effort. Yeah, whoever was the lead art designer, they're the ones that are literally carrying the rest of the game on their back. Like I said, if I was a part of the World of Warcraft art team, I'd go into the systems designer, whatever cubicles they have for the systems designer, go in there every day and like, oh man, my back is killing me. Must be because I keep carrying all of your dead fucking weight, man. Shit. Maybe start with listening to the feedback you get during alpha and beta. Yeah, Arch Totem right here. 5 days later, you ask for that, but you really don't want it. The player is not always right. Multi-billion-dollar company can't buy. They can't afford good microphones, man. You may listen to your paying customers, but you never do what your paying customers ask. Here's a hot tip. Stop catering exclusively to crazy people on Twitter. Council, the players want X, Y, or Z. Blizzard, you think you do. We're going to invite 100 influencers. Hey, you know what, critical complainer? If they did invite 100 influencers, you might actually see some fucking improvements in the goddamn game. We've taken on board all of your feedback and decided that you actually want more store mounts. We're going to select 100 people to tell us how Torghast and Conduit is the best system in all expansion. Players telling us how they feel about the game leads directly to improvements we make since when. They are making the how many times we can trick them into saying the obvious problems about the game, like bots before they go insane challenge. Finally, Goldshire RPers can be a part of the community. Our team's been benching 5,000 pounds since Warlords of Draenor. Poor team with so much on them shoulders. And we all hate our jobs. This video is the biggest cap of the whole expansion. WoW Council forums. We want the changes for this and that. WoW Dev, you think you do, but you don't. Here's a suggestion. Stop doing the opposite of what we tell you. Oh my God, dude. Please tell us how to do our job because we obviously have no clue. Also, you're not getting paid by... Dude, it's so true. It's like, what are these players getting paid? They're going to give you a WoW token. They'll pay you in WoW tokens, dude. They'll pay you in WoW tokens. What's this? What did I do? What did I do?
WoW classic.
We get a lot of feedback from players, and it's great. We watch and read as much feedback as we can.
We get a lot of feedback from players, and it's great. We promptly ignore every little bit of it. It's fantastic. It's true, though.
Players telling us how they feel.
It's true. It's 100% true. Come on. Come on. You know it's true. Don't jerk me around. Full details can be found here. Greetings, citizens of Azeroth. The World of Warcraft community is second to none. With the passion, love, and excitement you all show to the game. Player feedback impacts all aspects of the game. And with such a wide range of opinions, playstyles, and interests out there, gathering and understanding feedback is more important than ever. To help further our efforts in this area, we're introducing the WoW Community Council. This program will add another venue for communication between players and WoW developers. Our goal is to gather more detailed feedback on all aspects of World of Warcraft from players around the world with a wide range of backgrounds and interests. Here's how it works. Submissions are open to any player interested in taking part in the program. First question. Any player or any active account? So what does that mean? Does that mean, do I have to pay you in order? You actually have to pay them to do their job. That's the best part. You actually have to pay them for the, I bet you need to have an active World of Warcraft subscription. Once players are selected, they'll be given the ability to post in a new discussion forum that is publicly visible to everyone. In this new forum, we'll ask members to share their experiences and perspective on anything in the game, and some topics may be started by Blizzard developers and community managers. Responses and updates from Blizzard will be posted there so they can easily be discussed by the entire community. That means forget about blue posts in the general forums. Those aren't happening anymore. A private discussion will also be set up for council members to encourage direct interaction between members. Separate conversations between smaller groups of members and Blizzard developers will be encouraged to ensure players with different perspectives are being heard. These may take the form of live chats between council members and WoW devs. One of the key goals with this program is to encourage discussion with players from a wide variety of different playstyles. To help ensure this, part of the application process will involve sharing your areas of interest and expertise. Whether it's cutting-edge raiding, playing alts, completing achievements, accessibilities, or collecting transmog, we want to know your perspective and ensure you're heard. Therefore, after 1 year in the program, we plan to unflag council members and open the application again. All WoW players will be free to apply at that point. Please note, this program is focused on sharing current and past game experiences. It will not provide access to unannounced game information. If this sounds like something you'd like to participate in, here's the submission link. Please share this with any player who may be interested in this program, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you for your time and feedback, World of Warcraft team. I'm interested. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's go fix WoW, guys.